and our weekly video segment to take you into the back shelves of your local video store, back where it says horror videos, and where kids are devouring some awful films that we call the video nasties.
Are you freebasing? Inquiring minds want to know.
I have to break free from this culture of mechanical reproductions and the thick incrustations dying on the surface.
Fuck the prime time, bitch!
Mom with the new flesh.
The pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite. As for our deaths, come with me and be immortal.
We have such sights to show you.
Gotta return some videotapes.
Hello, horror hounds, and welcome to the It Slays podcast. I'm your humble host, Rowan.
And I'm an otter in a teacup, Mike.
And we are Coltonless today, because we're such a good company, I guess we give days off here, vacation days or something. So...
Girl, I've never had a vacation day.
I know,
Where's this HR form I can fill out?
You're gonna have to put in your complaint. But, as, you know, we always got someone in the wings there. So, Foreign Correspondent Gill swooping in, just, you know, clawing her way up the management ladder. So, just taking all the spots. I feel like this joke is just running way off the tracks now. Gill is here. Say hello to the people.
Hi, people. It's good to be back. Thanks for having me.
And, yeah, so we are here with a mic pick this evening. And we'll get into that in a little bit, but we know where we're starting. What media have we been consuming lately? Music, books, movies, television, or if your mic's just trash. So we will start with you, Mike, because we're waiting in anticipation.
Damn. Okay, so I have not been consuming. I've again had a really awful work week. Really, I've mostly been consuming trash. Real Housewives of Potomac, sorry. But one thing that I do want to mention that I've been reading, and I've really been picking at it because it's potentially one of the best things I've read all year, is, and I'm holding it up for them to see, it's this brand new collection of essays called It Came From the Closet, Queer Reflections on Horror. And it's the Feminist Press published it. It's got like a wonderful array. If you read the back, it says 25 contemporary queer and trans writers reflect on the horror films that shaped them and shook them, from Hitchcock to Halloween to Hereditary. And I've been very slowly sort of picking my way through it. So essentially, it's sort of a cross between film criticism essays and biography. So every essay is focuses on a certain horror film or whatever. But it's not just like, I'm going to critique this film. It's a weird meshing of a biographical essay with their experience with this piece of horror. So there was like one on Hereditary, and it's all about this person like kind of coming out of a marriage and that they felt trapped in, and, you know, like falling in love with other people and like discovering all these things about themselves. And there's a really great essay on like Jennifer's Body by Carmen Maria Machado, but it's also like details like her relationship with somebody, and they have all made me like either cry or want to cry. Like this collection of essays. That's why I'm not chewing through it, because it's so beautiful. It's this like film criticism that is like really emotional. So that is sort of the only thing that I've been consuming.
I'll have to buy
I've
it.
Just been like savoring it. It's really, really, really good. It only came out like 2 weeks ago.
I feel like it would be a good pairing. I haven't watched it yet, but I know Shudder's got that new documentary series, the Queer for Fear. It's like the history of queer horror, and I just like that's
this
what it
would
kind
be
of
a really good pairing with that. Yeah, it's and actually they just did. It's funny because, you know, we did the remake The Ring a few months ago, and I just read an essay in it where it's like this trans film critic talking about The Ring and about their own experiences with like being othered because of like disability and stuff, and it really made me look at The Ring and like Samara from The Ring in like a totally different light, and it's really like it's kind of blowing my mind. I gotta say, it's very, very emotional and like making me cry in a good way, but also the like critiques of the film and like the way that it kind of like shifts your perspective on them are brilliant. So I totally recommend it. Everybody read It Came from the Closet. Every essay in it so far has been like just mind-blowingly brilliant. What about you, Jill? What have you been consuming?
I read I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy, the Nickelodeon child star, because everyone's been reading it, so
it's so
memoirs.
Good. We need to talk
really
about
good.
it.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Super
Yeah.
good. Yeah, and I like didn't really know much about her, so it was kind of cool to read her experiences. And I fucking hate Dan Schneider, so
Oh yeah.
Anything that gives me some Dan Schneider tea is good. And I also read Ghost World. I'd never read the comic before, but I love the movie. So that was a really good, quick read. And it's a lot different from the movie, but still really good in its own way. I'm watching Shameless right now, like the last season, just to get through it so I can finish it. And I finally watched Barbarian the other day.
Nice.
So that was really good. Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I did. It was really good.
I need to say good on you for the Shameless, because the season that I want to say it was season 7 where one of them got cancer maybe. I think it was like the husband of the best friend maybe. Or somebody got sick like at the beginning of the season. And
okay.
Anyway, I feel like that was years ago. It was probably like 4 years ago. That was the last thing I watched. Because it's the same thing. Breaking Bad, as soon as he got cancer and started going to the hospital, I stopped watching it. So I never got past season 1. I have a real, like, hospitals and, like, shit like that are really triggering for me. So Shameless, I was absolutely obsessed with. And then as soon as that happened, I just hardcore cold stopped watching it.
Right.
So I'm really I feel like I want to catch up. So I really applaud you for sticking with it.
It's a lot, and it's very chaotic. It's a frustrating show to watch because I'm just like, why do you guys keep messing stuff up? Just act right. But it is what it is. I also watched Gerald's Game this weekend. That was on my list for a little bit.
I love Gerald's Game. I mean, I love the book. I'm a big fan of the book, but Flanagan's so good.
Yeah. So I had my husband watched it before, and I was like in the room, like watching it on and off, and I was just like, man, that lady's still chained in bed. Like, what's going on? Oh, nice!
I've got the old school, I bought it at a used store, the 90s original paperback. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'll have to read it. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. What about you, Rowan?
Yeah, so, Jesus, we recorded the Halloween episode way before Halloween, so I feel like I have a lot that I've watched, because you guys know I ramp up for Halloween. I'll start show-wise. So, show-wise, I'm still very slowly going through The Midnight Club. I'm savoring it. So I'm only 3 or 4 episodes in. I'm really enjoying that. I've been kind of like Mike, a little piece of trash. Me and Exilia got on our Love is Blind season 3 game. And we're on episode 8. And we're just loving Love is Blind just because it's so trashy. These people are just a mess. And I think that's pretty much it for shows.
That's all you have?
No,
that's just
TV shows.
Sorry.
Oh, and wait, I'm lying.
Yeah, okay.
I'm lying to you. I'm also almost done season 3 of What We Do in the Shadows. I think I have 2 episodes left, so I've been loving that. I have been reading. Right now I'm reading Road to Nowhere, Christopher Pike.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's my favorite
one.
Yeah, so
I told you to read that one, right?
I don't remember you telling me, but it must have been subconscious because I was trying to pick what one I wanted to read, and I was like, "Yeah, the cover's so good."
Yeah, that's top tier Christopher Pike right there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not that far into it. I only started it the other night when it was slow at work. So I'm on chapter 5 or 6 or something, but I'm really enjoying it. And then let's rain these out. I have watched a bit, so I've owned it forever, but I finally watched Lords of Chaos. I had never seen it before. And I guess I'm like vaguely aware. I went to high school with guys that were really into like, the Norwegian black metal and like Burzum and that. I tend to, I can't say I'm like a big fan of, like Nazi black metal, but the story was intriguing. So I watched that. I thought it was I shouldn't say pretty good. I thought it was okay. It just kind of, one of these things that I think these kind of movies fall into is I didn't think it did a good enough job telling kind of the murder stuff, nor did it do a very good job talking about the music. It just did like a mediocre job at both. So I was like, well, I didn't really get like anything awesome out of either end. I watched Batman Gotham Knight, which is an anthology collection that came out, I think, right after like Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight came out. And it was actually, I didn't know what to expect. It was just, I buy anything comic book movie related. And this was actually really good. So it's all stories that are supposed to exist in this like Nolan Batman world, but it's all done by famous anime artists. So it's all done in anime style. And it's just very, very different from, I think, anything DC animated. So it was almost kind of weird because like a lot of the times, like, Batman would be animated, like, more animal than man, even though, like, he's a man, and it was just, like, some interesting artistic choices and takes on, just, like, someone that we've read all about for all these years. I did some rewatches for Halloween. I watched Scream 2, which is always a good time.
Oh my god, classic.
Yes. I rewatched Halloween Resurrection.
Oh god, how could you even get through that once?
I mean, you know what? This time around, I was a little nicer to it. I was like, you know what? Like...
Oh, were you? You were nice to it?
Yeah. It was,
okay, good for you.
It was a little better. I rewatched, but it was Exilia's first time. I had bought the 4K for Nope, so we watched that because Exilia didn't... Well, I told the story on the podcast before. Exilia fell asleep in the theater when we went opening night to it. We watched that, and I also did a rewatch of The Crazies, the remake.
Oh, nice.
And rewatched on Halloween night The Return of the Living Dead. Because how can you not? It's a fun...
Good one, yeah.
I always try to pick a fun movie that's not too crazy, because I've got kids, like lots of kids trick-or-treating. And then, I forget, like, most of The Return of the Living Dead is just, like, Linnea Quigley topless, pantless, just dancing to punk music.
Yeah.
So Exilia may have been a little worried for a while, she's, like, just stripping, and there's, like, 5-year-old kids, like, looking in my window, wanting candy.
Hell yeah.
So, I'm just ruining these parents' night.
First of all, I just need to say... I always forget that Linnea Quigley follows me on Twitter.
Oh, nice.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, Linnea Quigley follows me on Twitter. Anyway,
I'm so jealous.
Just a humble bragging
Slight
here.
flex.
Yeah. Then a couple more rewatches I did. Exilia's been on her movie game, so it was movies Exilia has never seen that I got to pick. So we watched Demons, and, Demons is a great time. If you like... crazy Italian, like zombie flick with Billy Idol and the Scorpions as the soundtrack.
Yeah, but you saw that before.
No, Exilia didn't see it before.
Oh, I was like, I literally brought that $70.
Yeah, the first time I ever saw it was
to
with
your
you.
house and watch. Okay, yes, okay. I'm sorry. I need to take credit for showing you that movie.
And we watched Annihilation because Exilia had never seen that. And, since we had watched Men, she was like, oh, let me go back and watch Annihilation.
Okay, so because I just need to say I got diarrhea after that movie. And then I tweeted at Edgar Wright and Jeff Vandermeer that I got diarrhea after that movie. I just have to throw that out because every time somebody brings it up, I have to tell everybody about it.
Why would you do that?
I don't know. I keep doing it. I'm sorry. I interrupted Ro to say I got diarrhea after that movie.
They tweeted it.
But yeah, and then I watched so I've watched 2 of the episodes of this Cabinet of Curiosities from Del Toro. So I watched Lot 36 and Graveyard Rats. I haven't watched the rest. I'll be honest, I'm not like huge on it so far. Some of the practical effects stuff's really cool, but I don't know. I think I expected more. Like a lot of these directors I really like, and it just kind of seems like everyone phoned it in for this. Netflix gave them a big check, and they were like, whatever, I don't care. I'll finish it at some point, though. I don't know. And then the last couple I watched, I finally saw Goosebumps, the movie, for the first time, which I actually had a lot of fun with. I thought it was pretty... It was like for a kid's movie, it was cute, and, you know, I love Goosebumps, so it's cool seeing all those characters. And I did a rewatch of Go, because I hadn't watched that in years. I forgot how much I love Go.
Oh my god. It's literally one of the movies of my life. Also, one of the greatest soundtracks ever.
Oh yeah, I owned the soundtrack on CD when it came out when I was a kid.
Oh,
so.
Hang on now. I'm about to beat your ass.
Oh, no.
I had the promo double vinyl of You Could Not Buy It. It was like sent to radio DJs, and it was vinyl, and it was like 6 of the songs from that soundtrack. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I watched that.
Do I still own it? No.
I watched that, and then we kind of got on our Pixar the other night. So I watched Turning Red, which I really liked. I thought it was pretty good. It's kind of cool to see a Pixar movie that's like set in Canada. It's set in Toronto. So as someone that lived in Toronto, like seeing places that we knew and we were at every day, and, you know, there's like Tim Hortons jokes, and that was kind of cool. We watched Piper and Bow, which are like shorts from Pixar, just like 6-minute shorts that I really enjoyed. I laughed. I think it's Bow. I don't know how to say BAO, but it's about like dumplings. And like a dumpling comes to life. And I just thought it was kind of funny because I was like, is no one else, like, I'm looking at the reviews. I'm like, no one else sees this as a horror movie that like this woman raises a dumpling and then just like eats him. I thought it was kind of funny.
Dang.
Before we recorded, I went and saw Pray for the Devil, and yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. It was terrible. Don't go see it. It was really bad. I think one of my favorite Letterboxd reviews of it was there was one that just said the girl bossification of The Exorcism. And the one I really wanted to take a moment to appreciate, my last one I'll say, me and Auxilia sat down, we've been waiting anxiously. We watched Weird, the Al Yankovic story that just came out on Roku, and it is fantastic. Daniel Radcliffe playing Weird Al. It's like 100% a parody movie, everything about it. I mean, you know, the whole story is that, like, Madonna just, all she wants to do in life is do Weird Al, and that they become a couple, and
it's Evan Rachel Wood, right?
Yeah, and it's...
Yeah, I saw that today. I was like, that's wild.
It's amazing.
It's really, really funny. You know, I've been a huge Weird Al fan since I was a kid. I own like all of his albums on cassette, CD. So it was just awesome to see, you know, him getting his due diligence. If you've seen Walk Hard, it's pretty much kind of the same. That was my only gripe with it, was actually they pretty much took a lot of the beats from Walk Hard and some of the jokes and just used it in this. But I mean, Walk Hard is kind of the epitome of like music biopic parody. So it's hard to, you know, do anything with that. But yeah, that's it. I've been talking long enough, guys. Jeez.
No, you didn't like Lords of Chaos? I love that movie.
I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. I think I gave it like 2.5. That's 50% out of 5.
Okay, very generous of you.
Yeah, very, very generous. I did like, I liked what's his name? Like, is it Kevin that's in it?
Macaulay Culkin's
brother?
Is that
is
who?
it Kevin?
Yeah, he's in like Waco.
Kieran.
Yeah. Kieran. Is it Kieran that's in it? I don't know. I'm not gonna look it up. But
I don't know. I just the only other Culkin I know is Kieran.
He was really good in it,
and like, he's good. Yeah.
I thought he was really good in it. So let's get into the pick This was a Mike pick. Do you want to announce it?
Sure thing. It was my pick, and it was 1987's
The best year ever.
Cult. It was an awful year. I'm kidding. My favorite single of all time, True Faith by New Order, came out that year. No, it's the cult classic Angel Heart, starring Robert De Niro and Mickey Rourke.
So let's get into the trailer, and we'll be back with the bio and first experiences.
You must want this Johnny pretty bad, huh?
I don't like messy accounts.
Harry Angel has been hired to search for the truth.
There's a lot of religion going around with this thing, and I don't understand it.
Pray he doesn't find it.
Did you kill him?
I didn't kill no one.
You gotta burn for this, Angel.
Mickey Rourke, Robert De Niro, Lisa Bonet, Angel Heart. Believe what you've heard. Rated R. Starts Friday at a theater near you.
Angel Heart, directed by Alan Parker and written by Alan Parker and William Hortzberg. And the bio is as follows. Harry Angel has been hired in search for the truth. Pray he doesn't find it. Down and out private detective Harry Angel is ordered by the mysterious Louise Cypher to go on a mission to find a missing person. His routine failure soon leads to a bloody spar with himself as he goes on a supernatural journey into his own soul. So, first experiences. Is this your first time seeing this? Have you seen this before? Do you have like maybe a sexy picture of Robert De Niro with long hair, long nails, and a cane hanging up on the wall by your bed, maybe on the ceiling, so it's like perfect view while you're just going at it? Mike, this was your pick. Is this your first time seeing it?
No. Okay, so I was like aware for many years of its like kind of cult status, and you know, you like kind of look at the cast and go, oh, this is really interesting, and you read the synopsis and it's really cool, and like it would pop up on people's lists all the time of like, you know, cult classics or like underrated horror movies or noir movies or like crazy trips that you have to see and like blah blah blah. And so of course all of those things like tick all of my boxes. So I feel like, I think it was like when I was in my undergrad of university that we tracked down a copy of it on DVD and got really wasted and watched it at my house and kind of like tripped balls to it. And I feel like that was like sort of set the tone for my like interpretation and my memory of this movie, because I think I watched it once since then and did the same thing. I think I was like, oh my god, like you haven't seen Angel Heart? I feel like I had a conversation with someone in like grad school then, and it was like, wait, you want to see a trippy ass movie? You know, like, we'll watch this. And I don't think I ever watched this movie until we were watching it for this episode, when I wasn't like just completely blasted. So this is like my third time seeing it, but really it's almost like my first time seeing it as like a sober individual. I'm not sober, but I'm just saying I watched it when I was sober. What about you, Ro? What are your thoughts? What are your history? What's your history with Angel Heart?
So, I've heard of this. I've seen it like on a lot of lists of kind of like cult classic, you know, horror, neo-noir type movies. And I've listened to, interestingly enough, not like horror podcasts about this, but like maybe some more normie, normal movie podcasts, like some more pretentious ones, maybe just like podcasts that you wouldn't overly think would talk about like horror or anything. And I've heard a lot of people bring this up and kind of been like, oh yeah, like this weird movie where you know Robert De Niro plays the devil and it's like young Mickey Rourke, and so it's always piqued my interest. But this is definitely the first time I've ever seen it. I've never even like seen a copy of this like in person in terms of like physical media. So this is my first time. That's the end of that story that was going nowhere. Jill, how about you?
Yeah, never seen it, never heard of it until now, as per usual. But I would like one of those Robert De Niro posters when he's young with the long hair and nails with an egg. Can you
Oh
get
my
me one of
god.
those? I would like one of those.
So, like, insider moment, before we started recording, we all had a moment where we were just, like, blowing our wads over when young Robert De Niro lets his long-ass hair down, and we were just all, like, oof, getting the vapors.
The vapors.
But let's face it, yeah, we were, like, just, like, sitting on our porches, like, drinking mint juleps, getting the vapors, and, like, fanning ourselves.
Nice.
But, like, who can resist any Robert De Niro but young Robert De Niro? And I mean, okay, let's face it though. 87 is not even young Robert De Niro. It's young compared to him now. I mean, he was still sort of like kind of like middle-aged Robert De Niro. Fatherly, there you go.
Fatherly
there
De
you
Niro.
Go. Papa,
like
let's
it.
call him Papa De Niro. There you go. He's in Papa De Niro mode. Snap, snap.
So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this all. We know where we're starting. Favorite scene and or favorite kill. Jill, you go first.
Okay. I feel like my favorite kill and favorite scene are pretty similar. But my favorite scene was that weird, like, True Blood look and ritual thing that they were doing out in the field. I thought that was pretty cool. Witchy, voodoo-esque.
Yeah.
Such. That was cool. And my favorite kill is when he kills Epiphany. Epiphany, the lady. That's it. Sorry. What about you, Mike?
Epiphany. Okay, so my favorite scene is and this might not surprise a lot of people, when he goes to Margaret's apartment to get a reading done.
I knew this was going to be your favorite.
Fuck you, Rowan. Like I said, to nobody's surprise, but also fuck you, Rowan. So, obviously, when you move into that apartment and, like, check out the decor, it's literally, like, so, background, when I rewatched this, I only rewatched it last night, actually, and I had plans to get together with a couple friends of mine to watch movies, and I said, like, hey guys, you know, I need to rewatch this movie anyway, like, let's all get together, I think you would like it. And so we went over to my friend's house, and she had this, like, weird, they had bought this new giant projection screen and a digital projector, so I came over and, like, we watched it, like, on a big screen. And by the way, everybody, like, walking outside their house was seeing a, like, 10-foot long Lisa Bonet titties covered in chicken blood. So that was wonderful. But
they can thank you later.
Right, thank me later. When you go home after you're walking your dog. But yeah, like, it was just so funny because we were sitting around watching it, and, like, as soon as it went into her apartment, I just, like, looked at them and went, this is what I want for my life. And I feel like maybe when I saw it stoned in, like, my undergrad, it totally, like, formed my, like, concept of what I wanted my life and my apartment to be like when I was getting older. And I just, like, I love that scene. Okay, first of all, I love Charlotte Rampling. That actress is absolutely amazing. She is probably one of my, like, top 20 actresses of all time.
She's
I
great.
Think she's brilliant. She's really, really good. And, like, I love that in her career, like, I've seen movies where, you know, she's in her 60s and she literally doesn't care. She'll get her top off, right? She's like, I'm a beautiful woman. I'm aging. I'm still attractive. Like, here's my tits. Like, and, like, more power to her. But also, I like, not only is her apartment, like, apartment goals, like, hashtag, I just love all the, like, magic shit and, like, tarot cards, and she's into, like, you know, fortune telling and doing people's birth charts, and the whole time he was there and he's like do my birth chart, I was just like sitting there going, this is making me salivate. I am like fully leaning into my like hippie roots, like me and Jill were talking about, like, you know, I love my tarot cards, like astrology, but like the witchery of it all, and you know, just, like literally I could fucking gobble up that whole scene.
Love it for
it's
you.
so stupid. It's not even like the kill, and then when they revisit it and it shows her dead, like it's so devastating, right? Because it's like her body is just like completely gored. Ro, like, just get me off of this topic, please. What is yours?
That'll be what, like sidecast 800 and million and 52. Just Mike podcast about the apartment, just her apartment specifically.
I can't help it.
So mine are kind of abstract, this movie, I think. My favorite scene and my favorite kill. My favorite kill isn't even really a kill, but I do love when Harry goes back to her apartment and he like finds the beating heart on the table, and like I just love the way that's shot, and it's like very almost like dreamlike, and you know, obviously that's intentional because we're dealing with kind of, you know, these like kind of tastings of voodoo. I really, I will say, going into this, from what I've been told and what I had read, I think I was expecting more voodoo, like more ingrained in voodoo than this was. But I really did enjoy that, and I'm going to put that in the kill section. As for scenes, I really liked all the scenes that involved him like going into the bars and the blues guys were playing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, you know, we already know, me and Mike are like huge music people. I do really love like Southern old blues and like old Southern R&B of that era.
Well, I mean, and when it takes place in like the like hot seat of where blues came from, right?
Yeah.
So you're getting that like real rootsy, bluesy, like this is it. Like this is, it's like the mother and fatherland, right?
Yeah. And that was kind of, like I said, that was kind of my favorite scenes when I was like really getting that. And I'll kind of lead this right in. I guess kind of my first gripe with it is, like I said, I think I wanted more of that. I was less interested in New York. I was less interested in that kind of neo-noir, hard-boiled detective aspect of it, and way more into like, all right, let's go down south, Louisiana, like just, I want to get into like all this culture and this music and all that kind of thing. And, you know, unfortunately, I don't think it fully took you there. I've never read the book. I don't think the book really takes you there. If I remember correctly, I think the book is only in New York. I kind of just read little things about the book.
Yeah, I did a little bit of cursory research, and it appears that the book only takes place in New York, although he had intended on setting.
Yeah, he kind of wanted to. Yeah, but yeah, that's kind of. I'll start it off with that. That was kind of my first gripe with it. Was just, you know, I wanted a little more of that kind of voodoo. I think Jill kind of hit the nail on the head, like really giving me the True Blood vibes. Like I think that's kind of what I was expecting. And then I just feel like, you know, as we've learned through this journey of podcasts, Rowan sets these expectations and then unrealistic expectations, and then it's not met. So I did want to say, I thought it was kind of interesting to see a young Mickey Rourke. I feel like we're all so familiar with like post wrestler Mickey Rourke.
Renaissance Mickey Rourke, I call him.
Yeah, Renaissance Mickey Rourke. I think it's kind of interesting because I knew about, you know, it's been pretty documented. I knew before watching this or anything about, you know, Mickey Rourke and Robert De Niro are like not fans of each other and at all.
No, it's so funny because like it's just that you bring up young Mickey Rourke because it was 4 of us that ended up watching this at my friend's house, and the first thing everybody said when I turned it on and Mickey Rourke came on, they're like, "Oh my god, Mickey Rourke!" And they're like, holy shit, he's unrecognizable. And then one of my friends who is very particularly, how do I put it? Critical? Shady, maybe? was like, you know, it's like, yeah, all those botched, like, facelifts and shit. And I'm like, I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. That was sort of his renaissance, like, with the wrestler and stuff, was, like, looking unrecognizable and, like, having a botched face.
And see, that's going to be the interesting thing when we get in the rating it, because I feel like I'm still kind of processing Mickey Rourke's performance in this. Because, I mean, you know, I think if you don't know anything about it and you're watching, you're like, oh my God, like, this is, like, kind of this real campy, low budget vibe performance. But then I'm also kind of like, does the movie even work without that though? Because like deep down in the heart of it, like this movie is kind of campy. Like it's like the devil and, you know, it's already like...
Oh, it is. Robert De Niro's performance is pure camp. Pure.
100%.
He's chewing. He knows it. You look at every scene he's in, he's like got this fucking shit-eating grin on his face. Like he's like, ha ha ha, me with my Lee press-on nails. You know what I mean? Like he's eating it up. He loves it. He loves it. He loves it.
He is my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah, 100%. Like he knows. He's like, this is camp. I'm gonna chew up the scenery. I'm gonna go down in history, and they might not remember the movie, but they're gonna remember me. Right, and that is camp.
I was gonna say too. I was looking. I know Jill. You said you looked a little bit about the movie. Did you see like the other casting possibilities for Harry Angel, which I thought
I did not.
Which were kind of interesting. So the first choice for Harry Angel was Robert De Niro.
Oh. I'm glad it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I think, you know, at this point, De Niro's huge.
He did a really good job as...
Yeah, but that was definitely like... That was definitely like a role that was like, you have me for like 1.5 days. Like, that's all you're getting from me. But I saw that basically Alan Parker also approached Al Pacino and Jack Nicholson to play Harry. I think I'm kind of feeling a Jack Nicholson Harry Angel. I think if anyone's gonna give like an unhinged performance like Mickey Rourke, that coked out Jack Nicholson is what the world would need.
Absolutely.
Oddly, I had read that this movie at one point in development was attached to Robert Redford. Apparently, like he was helping with the script and like helping trying to get run through. I'm not sure. Like I couldn't find anything that would tell me if he was gonna play a role in the movie. I was like, this is kind of weird.
I love your use of the word run through because it's really different from my use of the word run through. But anyway, go ahead.
No. We're always talking about your shit. It's always shit with you.
I'm a shit disturber. I'm sorry.
Terrible.
Robert
Redford was ran through. That's all I have to say.
Oh, that's another way of saying. There's several ways. Wow. Okay.
Let's carry on, shall we?
For me, the only like issue I had with the movie is that like pretty early on, like straight up almost in the beginning, I kind of knew what was going to happen. Like it was kind of predictable. Like I knew like that type of character is always that type of character, and you know what happens. Yeah. I don't want to give away spoilers, but
what, this is a spoiler show.
It's spoilers everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like it's your own fault if you're listening to an episode about this movie, and then we talk about the movie, and you're like, oh my God, I never knew they were going to talk about the movie.
True, yeah. I don't know. I just got, Ro's going to hate that I'm going to make this reference, but American Horror Story Hotel, where the guy's like the serial killer and he's trying to like investigate the serial killer. Also, like, Hannibal, the show.
Don't talk shit about Hannibal.
Yeah.
I'm not talking shit about, but I'm saying it's the same basic idea.
Oh my God, that's so interesting. I've been like talking about Brian Fuller lately.
Oh yeah, that's
who
right.
Did Hannibal the show. Yeah.
I will agree, Jill. I was the same way. Like I knew there was a twist in the movie, so I made sure I didn't read anything about it. But, like, when I started watching this, like, within, like, 4 minutes, I'm like, oh, yeah, I bet, like... The only thing that threw me off is I thought he was dead. I was like, oh,
yeah.
I was like, he's dead.
Well, and then he's in hell. He's in hell, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, this is, like, some sort of hell for him or whatever.
But also, that kind of is what is happening, right? You know what I mean? Like...
So, yeah, they were pretty bad at
No, it's so funny because, like, literally, so, like, when I was watching it last night, there was, like, stuff that popped up, and I was like, whoop, like, oh my god, don't remember that. But, like, the only thing I remembered was the first time I watched it, like, you know, when we were stoned out of our gourds, God love us, and... I was like, because, oh, God, I'm the worst for this. Like, within 10 minutes, I knew exactly. I was like, yeah, I know what's going to happen. And then the whole time, you know, and then it happened. I was like, oh my God, I'm so surprised. But, like, at the same time, it doesn't take away from the enjoyment of the movie because I feel like they do and it's so funny because when I was watching it last night, one of my friends who's like, oh my god, she's such a cynic, and like sometimes I hate watching movies with her, but like I've known this woman my whole life practically, like since junior high. I've been watching movies with her for 20 years, and she routinely, if we watch a movie that's like twisty, in 5 minutes she's like, oh haha, I'll bet it's whatever. And she always says exactly what happens.
My husband
and then
does
at the
that.
end goes, and then
That's
at the end
nuts.
goes, I knew it. And same thing yesterday, like as soon as he said, like, oh, we don't know where he is, and she goes, haha, wouldn't it be funny if he better not be the person he's looking for. And I was like, you fucking bitch. Sitting there the whole time, and then of course when the reveal happens, she just looks at me and goes, I fucking knew it. I was like, fuck you. But also I was like, I also knew it. You know what I mean? But like, it didn't diminish my enjoyment of it because there was so much other stuff happening in the movie. But also, she did say that there was a couple times she's like, it was almost so obvious that she said to me, like, I kind of thought that it's so obvious that can't actually be what it is. Mm-hmm. Which I thought was like, I guess that's something that you can give the film credit for, because they do sort of like set that up really early and then go, maybe that's not what it is though.
I was gonna say too, like, I feel like that a lot of the issues of being able to read that so early, and like, this isn't, after I watch the movie and I'm reading about it, I'm looking at like some of the other like more professional reviews on it and the criticism, you know, it's not a new thought, but like, I did notice like the script wasn't super strong in it. Like, I thought there was like definitely some weak spots with dialogue and just kind of pacing in the story, where I was like, okay, I get what he's trying to do. Like, I get there's parts that it's trying to be like, oh, like, you know, we're disguising what's really going on, but it was like written so badly that it, like, you're just, everyone can tell what the secret is. And it's like, it seems the only person that, you know, doesn't want to know is like the guy writing this, because everyone else just knows. Yeah, I will say too, like, I just thought like some of it could be pared down a bit. Like, it's a little longer, like it's almost a 2-hour movie, and I think once they get to like Louisiana, like, I thought the pacing went really well. Like, it was pretty, it went through quick, but like that whole first chunk of it was brutal, especially where like Harry's meeting his contact, and like, what is it, like the Times or whatever, and it's like the reporter that he's sleeping with or whatever. Yeah. But then, like, as they're like stripping her, it was like weird, because like they're like stripping her naked and like they're fooling around, and I'm like, this is kind of weird, like, because is any of this supposed to be sensual? But at the same time, she's just like exposition dumping.
Yeah, I was going to say it's very expository.
The whole time. And I was just like, this is such a weird spot to have this dump. You know, I'm not Mike, so I'm not talking about shit here.
I was gonna say, you fucking asshole.
I actually cleaned my kitchen until they got to Louisiana, because I wasn't feeling it, and I was like, God damn it, this movie's gonna be bad. But once they got to Louisiana, they reeled me in with that French so fast, And then, like, everything else started clicking, and I was like, you know what, this is good. And then I was, like, actually watching it. But, yeah, the New York part, it is kind of slow. But once you get into it, it's good.
Yeah, I also didn't really get, like, the cops, like, that are investigating him in Louisiana. Like, I got at the end what they were trying to do, because they, you know, they dropped some hard ER N-words going on there. But...
Yeah.
But I was like, it's weird because they
but
don't...
I mean, like, the context sort of makes sense.
Yeah.
I get it, but I was like,
if you were going to picture, like, yeah.
But I was like, the rest of the time they're in the movie, they're not talking like that. And they only talk like that, like, towards the end for, like, 30 seconds. And I was just like, this is kind of weird because...
It's a racist dump.
Yeah.
Had to get it out.
We just need you to know that these guys are racist.
I want to move forward and just, like, talk about a couple of, you know, points that I enjoyed or whatever. But I also, I have to bring this up because the first couple times I watched it, because I was like, oh, like, let's watch it stoned or whatever, and, like, you know, have 8 people over. And also because it was so long ago, not that this is an excuse, but, you know, when we're talking, like, 10 years ago... we were not in the same kind of, like, social, mental spaces as we are now. I feel like maybe we didn't look at this in the same way, but when I was watching it, I kind of, like, remember feeling the same way while watching the movie as I did the first couple times I watched it, and I was like, oh, okay, I don't really remember a lot of this, but I remember, like, feeling the vibe the same. And then it got to the point where... like, Lisa Bonet shows up to his hotel room, and it's obviously before you know that she's technically his daughter, and all that. And then it's like, how old are you? And then she goes, 17, and I'm like, oh my god. I totally, like, somehow that just was not in my head at all. I did not remember that.
I keep forgetting about that.
Yeah, and it, like... the whole movie, I was like, all I could remember, like, literally from my 2 viewings of this movie was, like, the noir, like, kind of, like, lighting and everything, and the scene, you know, where Charlotte Rampling, you know, does the fortune telling and then gets her heart cut out, and the big reveal, but also the fucking, because the fucking is, like, huge, both in the movie and, like, culturally, because obviously, like, Lisa Bonet, you know, had the, like, clash with Bill Cosby, etc.
Fresh
off. The movie's about daddy issues.
Yeah, basically. And so but like, there's this, like, whole matrix of issues then because of that, and it's like, how old are you? 17? And I just, like, looked at them and went, oh my fucking god.
Well, Mike, you know that Bill Cosby had a bone to pick about Lisa Bonet playing in this movie. As per Wikipedia, hold on, let me read it.
Jillian, why don't you tell me about the bone? I mean, the picking,
well, yeah, gross. Alright, according to Wikipedia, although initially supportive of Bonet's decision to appear in the film, Bill Cosby dismissed Angel Heart as a movie made by white America that cast a black girl, gave her voodoo things to do and have sex, which is pretty ironic considering that's Bill Cosby. Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Maybe it hit too close to home for him.
Yeah.
Lol.
And this was one of the things that I see, like, I don't know a lot about kind of, like, that Southern, like, voodoo, just kind of that whole vibe and history. So that was one of the things, like, as I was watching this, I had kind of thought about that. I was like, I don't know, like, I don't know, is this, like, correct? Like, is a lot of this stuff, like, historically, or, like, are they doing, like, rituals that are real, or is this, like, just some white guy that's like, oh, yeah, like, I don't know, these black people holding chickens, like, the scene, because that, I'm like, this seems what some fucking white idiot would write, and...
I mean,
yeah, I'm very curious. This movie has made me be like, oh, I want to look, like, a little more into this and kind of see, you know, about the real stuff and, like, the real beliefs and kind of, you know, the religions of it and all of that kind of thing. I will say, the scene of Lisa Bonet and Mickey Rourke fucking, that entire time as it happened. Because as we said, Jill, I knew at the beginning the twist. I was like, I know this is the guy.
Yeah.
So as that is going on, I'm just like, no. I'm like,
he is not fucking his daughter right now.
Yeah, and then as I was like, oh yeah, he's fucking his daughter the entire time. I'm just like, fucking Mike would pick this.
So you won't watch Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon, but we're gonna make you watch incest, Rowan.
Yeah,
this is how.
Just determined. I'm like, of course a Mike pick would have incest in it. Of course. Why?
Listen, I forgot. The 2 times I watched it, I was stoned, okay? All I remembered was her covered in chicken blood, which was fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, and if it wasn't his daughter, I mean, I guess I'm really kind of torn, because if it wasn't his daughter, obviously I'd be more okay with it. And like, I thought it was shot really well, and like, I love like kind of the cut scenes, and to me, that's when you're really like, pretty much then, like the blood's dripping down. You're like, yeah, okay, like this is definitely like
the editing in this movie, by the way, was wild,
super wild,
yeah.
But then I also don't want to take away from the fact that I was like, well, yeah, this is fucked up, and like this is, this guy is living like hell, like this guy, the devil is tormenting him, so like this is something fucked up the devil would probably do to you.
Exactly.
If I believed those things, but I calmed down. I was done being mad at you after I thought about it like that. So,
well, at the end of the movie, when the elevator is going down, and you hear Lucifer's voice whispering like Harry, or what was his other name?
Johnny?
Was it John? Yeah.
Johnny,
he's like whispering those things. I thought that was really cool. So maybe the whole thing was him just like playing with him and tormenting him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they
point.
harped on several times, like the soul is eternal. And then, when they explained the whole twist, it was that, he was kind of like transplanting his soul. And then when you look at the constant imagery that he flashes to of the elevators going up and down, but mostly down, and like that shadowy, it's like literally, it's like the elevator of the soul is just gonna be constantly descending into hell. You know what I mean? It's.
What do you mean? I thought the souls were the eggs, not the elevator, man.
Oh yeah, also eggs.
Also eggs.
Also,
I love that scene.
That was
He's like playing with him.
That scene was so. I was like, why am I disturbed by the way he's touching this egg?
You just wish the egg were you.
Yeah, I wish he was rolling me out in those dirty ass fingernails.
Those are clean. What do you mean?
They were as clean as you could get, bro. Those are the cleanest fingernails I've ever seen.
Creeps me out. I'm sure they were dirty after he's eating those eggs.
I like truly wish I could have recorded our viewing of it last night, because it's like they were getting into this argument about like French tips and what was the era of Lee press-on nails, and they were trying to figure out like what the nails were. They're like, they're not real, and I was like, they're obviously not real. Robert De Niro did not grow out like 4-inch fucking fingernails. There's no way he went that method for. I mean, yeah, exactly, but it's like he did not grow out his fingernails to like that length for 20 minutes
healthy.
of a movie. Yeah.
To be real.
Also, they're just too beautiful to be real. Like it's they're too well manicured, they're too long, they're too perfect.
The other thing I will say that I had written down that I had like a little gripe with was like the production design, which is weird because that's not something I normally like take note, but I mean, I don't know what the budget wasn't like huge for this. I think I saw the budget was like, I don't know, like $17 million or something. And I just like, I don't know. I just felt like like the sets looked cheap. Like everything just kind of looked like blah. Like I was just like, I feel like it could have been done better, especially the New York stuff. I was like, I get it's hard with a minimal budget when it's like, oh, we got to make everything look like 1955 and all that kind of stuff. But
when you're shooting in the 80s.
Yeah. And like, I get that, but then I'm kind of like, well, then maybe you shouldn't set it in 1955 if your budget is low. Because I I just felt like it was like a lot of the rooms were like felt empty, and like I get everything's kind of run down, and at first I kind of thought, oh, maybe this is just like, if he is in hell and he's not, on actual Earth, like maybe that's why they're so empty and run down. And then I was like, no, it's probably just because they were bad at like designing this.
I will counter with, when I was watching it, I made several notes about like the bars that they were in and stuff like that, and I was like, it actually kind of looks just like real. I was like, this looks like a real vintage bar that they spent months trying to find in New York. And it's got that like circular bar around it, and just everything about it like sort of like screamed to me like that it wasn't a set. It just seemed like everything just seemed like a real place. You know what I mean? Maybe that's just me. Maybe I was giving it too much credit, but like when I was watching it seemed to me like the church seems real, the bars seem real, the streets seem real, the fields seem real, the shacks with the chickens in them all over the place seem real.
Agree to disagree. It won't ruin our friendship.
Fair. Oh, it's already ruined. Goodbye.
Yeah, whatever. I will say I did like, I keep ragging on. So I did like, I don't know what the song was, something Darling or whatever, but like the Johnny favorite song that kind of like he's whistling, and they thematically use that song that like other people are singing it or is playing on the radio and all that kind of stuff. I really did like that. I love when movies do that kind of thing where it's just those little hints that maybe if they were better at hiding the twist, that I would have been like, oh, that's really cool. When I got to the end of it, I'd be like, oh shit. But I mean, yeah, just because I knew the twist, I was like, oh yeah, that's probably his song or something. And
yeah,
but I did like that. I do like little details like that. They make me happy.
I was just like, one of my like notes like all I could think about was how I just thought it was so interesting that they really built up. I mean, before you like are confirmed that obviously that he is Johnny, like when it's still someone that is being sought after. I just found it very interesting that they spent the whole movie like mythologizing and building up this character because you never see him. And I thought that was really interesting, but also then they do, obviously not for as long a time, like you spend the whole 2 hours as Johnny, right? Like obviously, but like then there's a significant chunk near the end when they also are like mythologizing this other character who never does appear, and it's the Evangeline, who is obviously Epiphany's mother, who is very closely tied to Johnny. And I just thought it was so interesting that like they spent a huge chunk of time like building up both of these very mysterious characters, and one of them, i.e. Johnny, you get the whole like backstory and the breakdown and everything that happened, but like at the end of the movie you're still left with like the Evangeline thing, and like she never gets her own like voice, or you know what I mean? Like it's just, you just have like still get the secondhand information about her. Yeah. And I found that to be kind of unsatisfying. I felt like I wrote a note saying that it felt like Bertha in Jane Eyre up in the attic. Like, that this crazy thing happened with her and she sets the house on fire, but you don't get any of her backstory at all other than like what the other characters are like, the words that other people are putting in her mouth. So I think like I was like, I'd love to have an Angel Heart sequel where it's like about Evangeline and like her relationship with Johnny and like voodoo and all that. Like I would love an Angel Heart 2 like about her, because I think she's frankly a much more interesting character. That's really just like, I don't know, for whatever reason that just like really irked me, was the fact that she was denied a like fleshed out story more, or like a voice or a character. Like I would have loved at the end of the movie for her to like walk out, or like a flashback or something, you know what I mean? Just to give her like a face. Mm-hmm. Other than just everybody like kind of putting words in her mouth and saying, oh, she was just like tied to Johnny and obsessed with him or whatever, or like his lover, and it just, I don't know, For whatever reason, that just like really irked me.
Also, it seemed like her daughter, Epiphany, I wasn't sure what kind of relationship they had because it seemed like it could be not so good.
Yeah.
And there was resentment left behind from the relationship, so.
No, totally. It definitely seems like there's a strain there. And I think it actually kind of speaks to Lisa Bonet's performance was like phenomenal.
She was so good.
She was really good.
She was really, really good. And she just sort of like gives you, like drips out the details. And it's very matter of fact, but you kind of have to read between the lines, and you really read that, you know, she resents her mother and also this absent father, you know, and again, brilliant. I think it's just such a great performance by her, and like it's just such a shame that it's like one of her theatrical performances and it just like kind of gets swept to this like cult status. You know,
I have to ask you guys, like, because I mean, we definitely can't wrap up at all without talking about babies with glowing eyes.
That was pretty rad.
I all I could think about was like the intro to the Goosebumps like TV show. I think like the dog's eyes glow like that or something. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I laughed out loud when that effect kicked in and the baby was pointing. Because I will say, I didn't even think about it, like watching it, and even though like I'm aware of everything that's going on, but I really didn't think about it to the end. I was like, oh shit, like, you know, Lucifer is the one that like impregnated her. So I was like, oh yeah, like just totally clueless. I guess Rowan's just a bimbo. I'm sorry, guys.
No. She does talk about like how it happened through I forget what she called it, chivalry or something like that. Where she talks about it was like some kind of immaculate conception, and you see her in the field, and maybe that's like a reenactment of that or something. But yeah, it's like pretty demonic at points, and then there's the blood, so it kind of points to that sort of thing happening.
So we'll land the plane and we will get to rating this. So if you're new to the program, our rating system is nay, okay, yay, or slay. Mike, this was your pick. We'll start with you. What would you rate Angel Heart?
Okay, so I don't know if this is going to be surprising or not, but okay, so before I went into this rewatch, when I suggested it and I was like really looking forward to it, and like I was, you know, going into this like viewing with my friends who I watch like tons of movies with and I've known since high school, so you know, we've watched everything together. I was like, it's gonna be like slay out the asshole. But okay, so I did really, really, really still enjoy this viewing of the movie in a more sober experience. But also because of that, I picked up on, again, like I said, the couple of things that like kind of gave me pause, like the fact that she was 17 and like there was the incest vibe, which I know is obviously part of the horror, but like it still sort of like was like leaving a little bit of scum on my tongue, as you want to say. But I do really enjoy the atmosphere, and I'm really like I'm a huge sucker for any genre movie that picks up tropes of like the noir or the neo-noir and marries it with something different. Like this sort of takes, you know, your voodoo horror Southern Gothic story and marries it with a neo-noir. And, you know, when you look at like a Blade Runner, for example, which takes like a noir and marries it with sci-fi, like they're always like, I have such a huge weakness for those. So that gives it like, it's totally a yay. It's not a slay. It would have been a slay except for the like couple of troubling parts that I had. Like I said, when the movie was over, I like Googled it and it was like, oh, Lisa Bonet was literally just 18. I was like, oh, she's supposed to be quote unquote 17. I was like, clearly she's like 21 or 22. And it's like, no, she's not. She's literally 18. So there was a couple of like really kind of like troubling threads that like I couldn't stop thinking about afterwards. But like in terms of the atmosphere, and again, of course, the whole fact that like the plot twist was telegraphed right from the beginning. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like I was blown away by the plot twist. But on the other hand, I didn't care that the plot twist was telegraphed because I found that they really did a really fun job of like making this really interesting, unique atmosphere that was Southern Gothic horror mixed with a noir detective thriller. And I have never seen anything since then that had married those sensibilities in such a unique way. Also, I love the music. I love the saxophone. My literal first note is slutty saxophone because I'm a whore for slutty saxophone music in a movie. So that like jazzy and like me and Rowan were saying, like that bluesy, you know, just the whole atmosphere of it just like really kind of turns me on. So I'm gonna give it a yay with the like fact that there are some troublesome aspects, but I feel like, you know what, let's have a conversation at some point about the troublesome aspects and talk about it. So it's a yay, not a slay. Yay with qualified there are problems in this movie. What about you, Jill? What do you think? Lay it on me.
I will give it an okay out the asshole. Because in the beginning, like I said, I was cleaning my kitchen. I was trying to get into it. The first part of it wasn't my favorite, but once it started going, it like really grew on me, and I really liked it. So yeah, and the acting was good from Robert De Niro and Lisa Bonet, and I liked the twist, even though it was a little bit predictable. I'm not sure what to expect from something from the 80s.
Yeah.
Because I'm so young, so... yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it was good. I give it an okay out the asshole. What about you, Rowan?
She's only 17, guys.
Okay out the asshole. I'm fucking I'm just crawling into a hole right now and dying.
So I'm over here shaking my head. I'm just like, so you gave this a yay. You gave Trick or Treat an okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking right now, too. It's pretty shady.
I'm also going to go with an okay. I mean, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. It's really weird because if you separate this into all of its parts, all of its mechanics, on paper I should like it. It's all things that I'm really into. And it just, something about it just didn't do it for me. I don't know if maybe where I'm new to this, like I haven't watched this before at a younger age, like if this had some sort of nostalgic feeling for me that I might be more into it having seen it younger. But it just, I don't know, it just didn't overly work for me as much as I wanted it to. Just like Jill, just like we said, like the first part, I was kind of like zoning out, like checking my phone, doing all that. Once we got into Louisiana, I was really into it. And also, like you, Jill, I did really, even though I saw the twist coming, once the twist fully gets realized at the end, I did like it. I loved Mickey Rourke going over the top, screaming into the mirror and all that. Like, I really did
I think this was the performance of his career.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably my favorite performance he's done. I really liked it, but yeah, I'd give it an okay. Like, it would probably be a while before I revisit this. I would like to at some point, but I'm probably not going to be rushing to do that at any point.
Dang. So is that an okay out the asshole, just to be clear? Or just an okay?
I will also give it an okay with the asshole.
Nice.
So we told you what we thought of it, and we asked what you thought of the film, and we had two responses. I didn't know who was going to write us about this. Our first one is from someone we all know and tolerate, named Colton. And he wrote, "I ain't watching this shit. Enjoy, losers." That was his response to us.
And when Rose said tolerate, he meant barely tolerate.
And then we got a response from the _simple_life on Instagram. And they said, "This is one of my favorites. The twist really shocked me the first time I watched, and all the performances are so good. Robert De Niro with that fucking egg. OMG. And she gave a blushing surprise face with a puke face with a ghost face.
Appropriate.
Honestly, that's like the best review of this movie you could get. Just those three
that
emojis.
Fucking egg.
That
the
fucking
egg.
egg.
Everybody's like, oh my god, like, I just got pregnant watching Robert De Niro peel the fucking shell off that egg. I am pregnant. I am giving birth immaculately.
Can we also talk about, like, when you really peel an egg, you know, it's a mess. He just did that whole thing in one go. It was pretty sexy. Besides his long-ass nails.
We're going to go visit the horrific hotline. We do have a voicemail. I feel like at this point, you guys know we have voicemail every episode because Nicholas is always sending the voicemails. He's got to represent.
I look forward to it every time.
Yeah, so I'm going to play this one. This one, he must have had some stuff to say, because this is a longer one, and he had some stuff to say. So we'll play this, and we'll get to that horrific hotline.
All right, so it's Nicholas back again, this time with the review for Angel Heart. And I have to say, I watched the movie, I think, 10 years ago, roundabout, and on my rewatch now, I only knew the plot twist and that Robert De Niro plays kind of the devil, which actually is also a plot twist or kind of a plot twist at the end. And I remembered it very fondly, and well, I still liked it, but I think not as much as I did before. So what I really liked about the movie was Robert De Niro's performance as Louis Cypher or Lucifer. Probably my favorite scene this time was this conversation between him and Angel, played by Mickey Rourke, where he kind of peels an egg and then eats it, which was just so weird in the way how he did it. It kind of was fascinating for me. And also something I really liked this time, seeing it as a definite and full functioning adult and not as a teenager, was the contrast between the snowy New York and the sweaty and warm South. The contrast worked very well. I also like the mix between Christian symbols and Christian possessions and a little bit of Satanism and the voodoo mixed in. It made for a great viewing experience for me. However, I have to say that I'm not an expert on voodoo, and I also have to say that I'm not an expert on Southern African American culture, so I'm not sure if the movie maybe kind of, shows the African American community as voodoo participants, and if that fits. As I said, I'm not an expert. It made the movie portrayed it somehow authentically for me, but then again, just don't want to kind of run into something here. So now going to the plot twists, I still like those. I think if you don't know what's coming, you can kind of predict him being the person he looks for, but not necessarily, and it makes for some nice revelations at the end of the movie. So overall, I'd say the movie's a yay for me. It didn't really work some of its themes out to the best conclusion, which would be a slay for me. But it was entertaining, it was thrilling, though I have to say, except maybe the laughably glowy eyes, but a nice effect when you watch it, it wasn't really that scary overall. So more of a thriller horror than a horror thriller, if that makes sense. And I think that's basically all my thoughts I had on the movie. Just wanted to add one more thing, because I remembered there's one weird but cool piece of music where they mixed jazz music and a church choir together, and that kind of works for me as a representation of all those different religious aspects of the movie mixing together, just as the contrast between snow and sweat and north and south in New York and I think it's Louisiana. You get what I'm saying. So sorry for the this time very long message. I hope you enjoyed the movie. If not, well, maybe the next one.
Yeah. Thanks, Nicholas.
I could not agree more. We are on the same page.
I think he's more on the mic end than me and Jill end, but that's okay. I definitely agreed with like the mix of music, like the score and like the church stuff and all that. Yeah. And then I don't want him to think I left him out. He did send one, like a message afterwards, because he was like, he didn't know if you could find the correct words, but he just said what he was trying to say was that he didn't know, like, if the representation of the connection of the African-American community is, like, correct in association with the voodoo. He just wanted to make sure.
I guess he's trying to figure out whether this is offensive or not, right? Probably, yeah.
It was kind of like what I said about
the same thing.
Yeah. No, exactly.
So don't feel bad, Nicholas. I said the same thing earlier. Like, I'm not sure about it, and like I'm interested to look into it more and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, thank you, Nicholas, for the call. And if you want to leave a message for our next movie, or just call and ask a question, ask Mike what he's always munching on when we're recording, or
I would never eat while we were recording. What are you talking about?
Yeah, never. Or just any question.
Fire roasted vegetable crackers.
Yeah, you can call their horrific hotline at 1-902-418-8620. You can also be like Nicholas. He just sends a voice message on Instagram. You can email a voice message. Just get us a clip of you talking and we will find a way to play it. We don't mind figuring that all out.
Slide into our DMs is what
that's
right.
Saying. Just slide in the DMs. Also, you can follow us on all our social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Slasher, Letterboxd. If there's a social media, we're probably on it. And our name is always It Slays Podcast. And also, spooky season's done now, but that doesn't mean you can't listen to music from horror movies. So go to Spotify and look up the It Slays Podcast Horrific Playlist, or go to our Linktree link on any of our social media, and there's a link to it. And we just put music up from horror movies that we've reviewed or that we love that are iconic. Me and Exili did a huge update before Halloween, so I think we added like 20 or 30 new songs to it. So it's quite a list now. I think there's like 60 songs on there, so there's lots of music to get your eardrums going and your feet a tapping. But yeah, I think all that is left is to announce our next episode, and I guess I'm announcing it. It's a Colton pick, but since Colton decided to ditch us, he can't announce it. So Colton has picked Ravenous for us to review, which I own but have never watched. So we will be back with that. And yeah, as always, thanks for all the support. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you. And I think that's everything. So I am Rowan.
Bye, it's Mike.
Bye.
See you later.
We're going to expand our weekly video segment to take you into the back shelves of your local video store, back where it says horror videos, and where kids are devouring some awful films that we call the video nasties.
Are you freebasing? Inquiring minds want to know.
I have to break free from this culture of mechanical reproductions and the thick incrustations dying on the surface.
Fuck the prime time, bitch!
Monmouth in the flesh.
The pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite. As for our deaths, come with me and be immortal.
We have such sights to show you.
Gotta return some videotapes.